Stronger Families Church. Thank you for joining me tonight as we journey into the pathway to powerful. I hope you've read your first chapter, as this is going to be an exciting adventure. We start off session 1 with, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. You see, Carla had only been at the church as their financial manager for a few months when she discovers, we have a problem. They were going to go bankrupt in 6 months. Yes, just 6 short months. They were going to be without money, closing their doors. Let me tell you, that is a huge wake-up call for any organization, but especially for a church. Because when we close our doors, souls, what's going to happen to people? Are people not going to find a relationship with Jesus if our doors are closed, right? So this was a big deal for this church. And she decides she's going to do things the right way. She's going to take it to her boss first. She's not going to put out this red alert to everyone and anyone. She's going to go to her boss. She's going to let her boss talk to their senior pastor, Dennis, and let him kind of sink in and see what they needed to do. She had gotten together all of her charts, her notes, all of the projections. She had done all of that. And she went to her boss and she explains, this is what I'm seeing. This is what it looks like. And she leaves it in his lap. Now she realizes after some time that I've heard nothing about this. And this is a big deal. It is a very big deal. They need to do something, and quickly, right? So she decides to go back again. She goes back 3 times to her boss, confronting him about, hey, I gave you this information. When are you going to talk to Dennis? When are you going to talk to the lead pastor? What is going on to solve this issue, right? This is also her job. So we see that there's some passivity. There's some disconnection with her boss and going to Dennis. So she ends up deciding that she's just going to take it straight to Dennis. She's going to go straight to him and with all of her charts and everything that she has, and let him know about it. And so he acts very quickly. He pulls the leadership team together. He gets to talking to them. They realize that they are immediately going to have to let some people go, that they have too many staff members, people they're paying on staff. And so the first thing that they can do is let people go. But this is not an easy decision for a pastor. You see, Dennis loved people. He loves people. And so letting people go and not knowing how they're going to get paid is precious to his heart, right? I mean, it's just devastating to let people go because he has a heart for people. Thank God, because he's a pastor, right? But it presents a challenge in this situation. And she began to see a lot of disconnect in their organization as far as the leadership goes. Their leadership was disconnected. A lot of different ideas, a lot of inaction, a lot of sticking their head in the sand, right? And she says that, she realized like something has to change here. But she gives this quote. She says, the ability of any organization to successfully navigate a major change in direction is directly tied to the amount of trust that exists in the team leading the change. So whoever is leading the change, they have to have a lot of trust in each other as they navigate this change. And trust was a big issue among these leaders. You see, this is a church that was going through kind of a shake-up stirring, and God had been pouring out his Spirit. They had been learning new and wonderful things, and some people were really excited about what God was doing. And other people, they weren't really sure about it all. They weren't really sure. And so you have people that are coming and excited, but you have people that are leaving and saying, this is not good. I don't know if that's God, right? And so at the same time they have this financial crisis, they are having people leaving the church and some people that are really excited about what's happening. So God was in the midst of this. And she says that trust is undermined when people hide from the truth. How many of us have had a boss or someone they know that just sticks their head in the sand to ignore what the truth of the matter is? Or maybe we have done it ourselves, right? You see, when a leader fails or refuses to confront their own fears and weaknesses, they usually struggle with and mishandle the weaknesses and fears in the others around them. You see, their leadership was struggling. They were struggling to confront the problem and to resolve the problem. And this comes from fear. Fear. You see, when we trust in fear, we will either be passive and avoid the confrontation that's sticking our head in the sand, or we will react harshly and begin to punish, right? That's getting mad and I'm just going to fire everyone. Then our budget will be fixed, right? And I'm sure we have dealt with people on both ends. And maybe at one point we were one of those people, right? You see, fear stops us from becoming what God intended us to become. Danny Silk talks about triangulation. He talks about when two people have a confrontation and maybe it doesn't go the way that they would like it to, one person may pull away and they may say, oh, that guy hurt me, right? That guy's the bad guy, he hurt me. But rather go to that person and say, you hurt me. They go to, I had some little widgets here, you know, they would go to someone over here that's outside of the situation, and they would say how bad this guy is up here, right? He's so bad, he hurt me. And what did they just do? They made themselves the victim. They made themselves the victim rather than confronting the person. So then we see that they recruit a good guy, and this good guy is going to do something about that bad guy. And so they go over here to the bad guy and they're like, you can't talk to them like that. That's not right. Right? And so we just have this triangle that just keeps going and keeps going. And the victim, the person that has made themselves a victim, never has to confront anyone, right? Because the good guy is going to confront the bad guy. And we see that relationships don't do well in that model, right? So triangulation does not work. We need to stop being the victim and become powerful. And that is what God is desiring from us. So they are actually confronted on their trust issues, right? Because that's what they're having. They have trust issues, they have vulnerabilities, they have weaknesses, and they don't want to be judged. No one wants to make a decision. No one wants to act because they don't want to upset anyone. They don't want to cause a stir. And yet at the same time, there's this distant looming devastation, right? So they have a guest speaker come to their leadership. And this guest speaker, thank God, he has some direction and wisdom from the Holy Spirit. And he quickly realizes that there is a trust issue in this church. And this is a church that has been talking about having a culture of love and honor for several years. And yet, she talks about how it was only lip service, really. They talked about it, but there was no real trust built. There was no real, I'm going to be vulnerable and honor you kind of thing. So this gentleman, Tony, begins to, and in these sessions, begins to confront them and challenge them to be open and honest and open up about how they really feel. Now, most of us can understand that in an environment where it is very hostile and you don't know if you're going to be judged or ridiculed or even reprimanded, you don't want to open up about how you truly feel. Yet Tony realizes that they need to. And so they go through this whole couple sessions where they open up and they're honest with one another. And that is a key. Admitting that we are powerless and that we need a change is a huge key in helping us to go from a victim mindset into a powerful mindset. Admitting, I need change. I need help. I don't want to be powerless anymore. And so one of the things they began to engage in, and we will talk about it in the next few sessions, is they began a journey of self-discovery. Now, this isn't self-discovery like most of us would think of. This is evaluating when they have strong emotions. Why am I feeling this way? They were not beating themselves up. They were saying, what is this that I'm feeling and why am I feeling it? So, admitting that they needed a change and deciding that they were going to dive into some self-discovery, healthy self-discovery, is a key to us becoming powerful people. You see, they realized that becoming powerful people who could build a powerful culture meant that they had to become clear on what they valued and that they would actively pursue it and what they would protect. So they had to become very clear about what that culture looked like as they began to kind of dig out this new culture. They needed to know, what do we place value on? And we need clarity on that. And what are we willing to pursue? And they needed clarity on what they were pursuing. And they needed clarity on what are we going to protect in this environment that we are building, in this culture that we desire to have. And so we're going to go through with Carla and her church exactly step by step how they created this culture of love and honor, becoming powerful people. None of us truly want to be the victim. God created us to be powerful. So in our activation today, go ahead and put some soft instrumental worship music on and begin to seek God and ask Him a few questions. The first question I want you to ask is, what seeds am I planting? You see, we are all planting something. We are either planting love or fear. Love or fear. And love helps us to trust. And so as we plant love and trust in our garden, in our lives, we get the fruit of being courageous, of being vulnerable, of having a safe exchange of truth, of the freedom of fear, of creativity, of our connections strengthened, our problems identified, and our problems solved. When we engage in fear, the fruit that we get is we get withdrawn, we blame, we have disconnection, we have passivity, we have an atmosphere of fear, we have avoidance, we have suffering relationships, accusation, problems that are ignored, frustration over lack of direction, superficial fixes, and a fear of correction. I'm sure that you can identify all of those in your life or in a situation at one time or another. Take some time now to ask the Lord, am I trusting in love or am I trusting in fear? And what fruit in my life do I see? If you see the fruit of fear, blaming, avoidance, accusation, let's take that to the Lord and let's ask Him with an open and honest heart to give us the eyes to see so that we can change that. As we become powerful people, He will help us go from having a fear and victim mindset into a love and powerful mindset. I am so excited that you are on this journey with me. And I ask that you would take this seriously and go through every activation and evaluate your behavior and your reaction to things, because we were not meant to be victims, but God wants us to be powerful. He has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of love, power, and a sound mind. My friend, you were created in the image of God. And if you haven't been told today, let me tell you, you are powerful. May God bless you.